Emma Blue Eyes 10 here, and welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! Etiquette Lesson 12, and I do hope you guys enjoy. And today's lesson is just going to be basic game knowledge. Now, it really does astound me how there are a lot of players out there who don't seem to have basic game knowledge of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. And this has been, to be honest, I've seen this a lot on Duel Network, and I've heard about it on Duel Network. I've heard about stories over YouTube and stuff like that about players who don't know basic things and get so angry about it and get pissy about it that they like rage quit or whatever, and you know, that sort of thing. My own personal experience recently was I was on Dueling Network and I was dueling against somebody who had Cyber Dragons, and he tried to summon Chimera-Tech Fortress Dragon by sending monsters from his hand. And I was like, no, you can't do that because you have to send them from the field. It actually says on the card you have to send them from the field. And he rage quit because he couldn't get his own way. He was like, no, I'm sending monsters to graveyard. That's what I was saying. It's like, no, it's from the field to the graveyard. Your hand isn't a field. And he seemed to think that it was. So that was interesting to say the least, and it really did astound me how players can get certain things so mixed up. I mean, all I can say about that is the rulebook, right? This official rulebook, which can also be downloaded off the Yu-Gi-Oh!.com official website, is your best friend for understanding the basic knowledge of the game. It explains everything. It explains how to pay your costs, how to play trap cards. It explains how the field and hands and everything are separated. I mean, it's not really that difficult. It explains the game mat and everything, and how your starting hand works, and how the turn goes on and everything. So it did truly astound me that happened. But then again, I'm not alone in this. There's loads of people who experience that sort of thing, not just online but in the real world as well. For example, there was another story I heard of, I can't remember, it was somebody a long time ago. Apparently it was something, I think it was Sangan or something, it was a search card. They were trying to do something with a search card that wasn't supposed to happen because it didn't go to the graveyard. Because they got the remove from play and the graveyard thing mixed up, and it's like, you know, if you play any game, you need to know the basics of any game, obviously to get further in it and to do well and to win and everything. Because if you don't, you're just going to crash and burn, and you're going to have a ticked off player, to say the least. Not on the one who's making the mistake, but also on the other side, because obviously for a more experienced player to come up against this sort of thing, it can be very frustrating. But at the same time, trying to learn from your mistake is key as well. If you actually show them what it is they're doing and actually like give them links to the sites where they can check it up, or calling an admin in if you're playing obviously online or anything like that, can it really help clear things up. But unfortunately there are some people who just don't care and just say, I don't care about this, I'm just going to play it anyway, and rage quit basically when they, or get really ticked off about it when somebody else proves them wrong. But keep it, if you remember your basic game knowledge and you keep your basic game knowledge updated, because sometimes there's basic things that do get updated and changed every once in a while. For example, there was a good video by TCG, Core TCG, about the effect of Sangan with the transmigration prophecy and everything, and on chains and that. If you want to go and check that out, I'll link it somewhere for you guys to have a look. It was quite interesting. Some of that basic knowledge, some of that seems to reflect to me basic knowledge that should have been obvious, like common sense basically in the game, and it really did astound me how there were people who didn't understand it because they didn't understand the basic knowledge. So it's like you read an effect, but you have to know how the effect applies to the whole game in order to understand it. And being unable to understand that game does not mean that you can throw a tantrum about it basically when things don't go your way, when you unfortunately read a card wrong or anything. Even again with basic knowledge, like I've done with an earlier etiquette video on reading your cards, reading your cards is key and also in understanding basic game knowledge as well, because then you, as I said, if you make a mistake and apply the wrong effect or read it wrong, you're going to cause a problem basically. So yeah, so keeping yourself up to date with basic game knowledge, it's in the rule book, everybody. It's also on the official Yu-Gi-Oh! websites and everything. Keep them up to date. Make sure you practice them. I mean, some people can get relaxed with some of the rulings and just let it go, but at official tournaments and stuff like that, you can't afford that, because obviously you can get penalised for it. You could even get kicked out of our regional, apparently. So making sure you've got your game knowledge, basic game knowledge, up to date and clear within your mind. Obviously, it can lead you to becoming a better player when the more complex stuff comes along. Anyway guys, that's Yu-Gi-Oh! Etiquette episode 12. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!